Welcome, welcome, welcome to Heart and Soul, everybody. This is my second show. I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me. And I have an amazing guest today, Mr. Mark Alston. Mark, welcome and thank you for joining me. I am so happy that you're here with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How are
Yes,
you?
I'm doing great, Claudette, and congratulations on your platform. I think it's definitely going to be a good awakening for the community to be seen and heard by your wisdom and your knowledge and your love for the community.
Thank you, Mark. There is, I've been wanting to talk to you for the longest time because there's so much to cover. And a lot of people know Mark Alston, the promoter, but they don't know Mark Alston, the entrepreneur, the man with a mission, the man with all these amazing ideas. And I just think it's time that people get to know you. So I am just really, really excited that you're here. So people know a lot of what you've done, but they don't know who you are. And I believe that is of utmost important that people know, the audience, the people that are watching, that they know how Mark Alston, the man, came to be. Let's talk about your early years. Tell me about your early years.
Well, when you talk about the early years, we're talking about in the 60s. Been born and bred in Harlem, 141st Street and 8th Avenue. We call that the block. It was a great community setting. People looked out for each other, and that's what made growing up so good where I came from, right? Where most of us came from. When you talk about our 50s and our 60s, the community was also a part of the family. They watched out for you if you got in trouble. They not only scrutinize you, but they take you to your parents and you get it double. So there was a lookout all over the place, and there was a joy, playing with my people, playing with my friends.
Tell me something. Where were you born, Mark?
I was born in Harlem Hospital, 1959, the old building, as most of us can recognize. The new Harlem Hospital on 135th Street is considered the sub-new building, which has an extension now, which is a larger Harlem Hospital. But I was born in the old Harlem Hospital.
Is that on 135th, West 135th? Is
I
that?
believe it's on 100 and
132nd. Is it 132nd, 133rd?
137th.
137th.
Yeah, 137th. Yes, I believe so.
Okay. What was it like growing up in Harlem? Because you have history there. I mean, there's so much history for you there. And I'm just curious, what was it like for you growing up there?
Well, you're bringing back the old days. You're talking about loadies on the street, black hole, 123. Of course, I don't know if you're old enough to know that. But
well, listen, I'm in my 50s, so yes.
Absolutely. And of course, basketball and, just playing in the streets, with, people around the neighborhood. Everyone knew each other. Everyone knew each other's parents. We would visit each other's houses and have a great time. So, it's not like it is now where, kids are home playing with their video games. We had more interactive activities such as, playing games, playing basketball, running, ripping and tearing, burning calories, the whole nine. So growing up back then was more interactive.
Well, for me, most people know that I am from Panama, Central America. And for those who don't know, now you know. I'm from Central America. And growing up for me in Panama, I mean, people who were near and dear to you, everybody had a nickname. Did you have a nickname?
Yes, back in the day.
Yeah.
Everyone knew me as Ching, Ching. 1966, PS 123. I was bestowed the name because I had Chinese eyes. I guess I still do. And they labeled me Ching. I hated it at the beginning because, I'm not Ching, but I embraced it because it was different. And I embraced it all the way to my 20s until I started working professionally. Of course, you cannot put Ching on the application, right?
No, you cannot. Absolutely not.
But yeah, Ching, if you call me Ching, and some do, I know that we went back way back where I had black hair, so to speak. So those were fond memories, the Ching days. known for playing basketball, known for, doing things in the community as a young boy, the Children's Art Carnival, which was part of my graphic teaching as far as the art part of it. It was a great childhood in Harlem.
Well, see, for me, just like I shared with you, for me growing up in Panama, everybody had a nickname. I think probably my second oldest brother, he was the only one didn't have a nickname. My oldest brother, everybody called him Papa. And then me, everybody called me, anybody that knows me from way back then knows that they know me and know that my nickname is either Cookie or Kukita or Kuka. Those are my nicknames. So anybody sees me and calls me that, they know me from way back then. So, I mean, there's so many fun memories. There's so many fun memories growing up.
Yes.
And, my friends, I found a photo the other day and, my legs were this fat. So it's just fun to really go back and revisit those memories. And then you often wonder if everybody in the photo is still alive, because that's always, kind of the question growing up, because everybody, unfortunately, didn't live as long as you have, or, things happen because that's what happens in life.
I think we all.
So, yeah, those growing up in Panama, those were decisive years for me. I mean, those were the foundation years where, you have your father and your mother, and these are the affirmative years where, they're there to kind of direct your path and hope that all the things that they tell you kind of stays with you. Who was that for you? Who did that for you?
Well, definitely my mother. And like most kids who I grew up with, we were raised by single parents, the mother.
Okay.
My mother was a catalyst of my life, watching how she turned miracles out of the impossible, paying the rent, working, and, doing the things that mothers do, the cooking, the homework, the discipline. And I'm not talking about the physical, I'm just talking about just the common sense teaching that we as parents have to instill in our children, at least that, the basics, the common sense, the respect, having love for others, and that those you will have love for you in return. Definitely the ABCs of life, she has been a catalyst for that.
Well, I just want to take this time to extend my condolences to you on the passing of your mom.
Absolutely.
Our conversations have been many. And one of the things, and I've said this to you more than once, and I am a very observant person, and I loved the relationship you had with your mom. I just thought it was remarkable and it was real. The love that you had for your mom, or have for your mom when she was, alive, and you still do. It's just something that you can't teach. This is something that is, in you. And it showed every time, every action, every photo, everything you did for her was done with love. So I want to extend, from me and my family, I want to extend my condolences to you.
I appreciate
and your
that.
family.
I really do. And I know you had a loss in your family as well. Your mom's, that was dear to you, so I extend my condolences to you as well. You never lose memory of someone who has been the major force in your life. You never lose the love that they have instilled in you, the years of just that motherly love. I was fortunate to have 96 years,
That's beautiful.
96 years of just her being her and doing what she does and enjoying life. So I was blessed, so I take that, to my grave. The love of a mother will never leave you.
Absolutely. The great thing about that is that it trickles down. You're a father.
Yes.
I know that you are. You're a father of two young men.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. My oldest, Shay, he is a great young man. He's learning graphics. Matter of fact, he has a bachelor's in graphics. So
That's awesome.
He does art. He does audio and graphics and all the things that come with it. So he's pretty happy with that. Marquise is my youngest. He's working for the Board of Ed. So right now he's working at home doing, schooling at home due to the COVID. So, two young men, and my youngest has given me two beautiful grandchildren.
Tell me about the grandchildren. I
Yeah,
love your interaction with your grandchildren as
yes.
well.
Mariah, my oldest, she'll be 8. As most Facebook people can tell, she is my heart, my first grand. And we have a lot of fun together. And then comes Jeremiah, we call him Jay. He basically just took over the norm of the household, so we call him the little terror, a cute little terror, but a little terror, terrible too. Enjoying the growth, enjoying the legacy of family, and enjoying how they grow up so fast.
I tell you, family is everything. I would not trade that for the world. I am a proud mother of 2 also. I have a son and a daughter. And I think you guys have heard me talk about Gabriel and Maya. It's like a broken record, but you know what? They are my heart and soul.
Yes.
They are.
They are.
They're that special to me. And they are just, thank you. They're just amazing human beings, because that's important. Because sometimes you as a parent, you have children and they're yours and you love them, but you don't necessarily like them. But I happen to like my kids and love my kids. So I think that.
Boys, so I can love them and beat them up at the same time, Girls is different. Mariah took a whole different turn in my outlook of just raising or helping to raise young people. Sugar and spice, everything nice, the girly girl stuff. She has me wearing tutus on my head, we're playing dollhouse. I'm getting on the floor and enjoying every minute of it. Those are things you keep with you, and watch the transformity of them growing up into a young adulthood.
Because there'll be a time where you can't do all that stuff. She's not going to want to do all that stuff. So you have to really, take advantage of it all now.
I'm still going with it.
That's right. That's right. Many people know you as Mark Alston, the promoter in Harlem, but there are things about you that people don't know. People kind of tie you into the brownstone and they think this is where everything began for you. But I'm here to tell you people, that's not the story. There is more to this gentleman right here. And I want you to tell us about your earlier years and tell us about, the promoting at the brownstone. Tell us about, those days.
Well, the brownstone, we started around about 20 something years ago. I would say 25 years, give or take. And I wanted to connect people of maturity, but not in a club atmosphere and not in a bar atmosphere. I wanted to bring back the old house party days with the red light, Motown, the whole shebang. So I was lucky enough to have a brownstone, which is governed by the Kappa Alpha size in City College area. And we've been doing events there for the past 20 plus years. And right now we're on our 42nd brownstone.
That's awesome.
So we give the brownstone a name so people can reminisce, I've been at brownstone party, 10, or I've been at 20. And then they can talk about those days or which party they've been to. It makes a great conversation piece. But before then, I started out at Club Illusions. It also used to be called the Old Headrest on 22nd Street, right off of Park Avenue. I think I understand you've been there before, Claudette.
Well, I'm not going to date myself, but I have. And I'm here to tell you that this was in the 90s. Yes, I'm in my 50s. I'm 58 and proud of it, people. Absolutely. Proud.
You're looking
and
good.
So this was in the 90s. And I remember going there because I worked in Midtown at that time. I still do. But I worked on Park Avenue, and I know a group of us would gather and we would go. I may have been there maybe about 3 times in the 90s. I loved it. It's a small world. It's absolutely a small world.
Well, I started there. I was only 19. At the time, you had to be 25 to get in. But I had a full beard as a young kid, so I guess, I can get in due to the look. And it opened my eyes to the maturity of our people of color. Being a young man and not really knowing, how to engage into a more mature level, it taught me those things. It taught me how to talk about life, family, politics, the neighborhood, you name it. And it helped me grow. And not only that, I had a great time, managing a club, which I wasn't old enough to be in. So that was the start of my promotional life under the tutelage of Ron Bing, Ed Holland, Joe Spellman, and also Rob Story, Ferguson from back in the day. There was a whole bunch, Gene Pendergrass to name a few. These were some of the promotional icons that I look up to because they had a system that worked. And what worked for them was the consistency of large numbers. And I was always amazed on how they pull it off, how everyone wanted to come and see them, talk to them, be around them, support them. So it opened my eyes to get a piece of that action one way or another. And through that, I learned the art of promotion and marketing as well.
That is awesome. And what I love is that is not only who Mark Olson is, because I love that in your earlier years, you also began, your love of community grew from then. And that's something that, is embedded in you. And tell me where that began. I think you and I spoke about the New York State Division for Youth, that this is where, some of it started. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that's when I got my feet on the ground as far as community awareness. New York State Division for Youth, which is now called Office of Family and Children's Services, if I'm saying it correct, they do a lot of things in the community. My section basically was the funding part. So what did we do? We funded non-for-profit organizations throughout the 5 boroughs. At that time, which was in the late 90s, we had over 150. Anywhere from non-for-profit organizations to juvenile delinquency prevention, to Healthy Start, recreation, the whole nine. So what that did, it got me in tune with what community-based organizations do and how important community-based organizations are in the community at large. So I really took a great interest to elevating young people. Me being a young person at the time, still able to work with young people through SYEP, Summer Youth Employment. They had after school components for young teens who can work after school. And I really love the engagement between New York State Division for Youth, the non-for-profits, and the community that they serve.
Did you have, during the years that you were there, because for me, growing up, there's so many, I can speak about people who I consider my mentors. There was this teacher growing up, Beatrice. This was I was skipped 2 grades. So this was my 3rd grade teacher. She was Beatrice. And I always thought that she was just amazing in my life. And she always encouraged me to push myself and do more, not only what was required, but to go the extra mile. Did you have a mentor?
Yeah, I did. My mentor was the streets, believe it or not. Being raised by a single mother, I was a latchkey child. And like most latchkey children, you have to find your own way. And hopefully, you come back home all right. But my mentors were the number runners. The number runners who looked out after me, and made sure I went to school when I was supposed to be. One referred me to a not-for-profit organization called the Children's Art Carnival. That was really my first job as a teenager, and it broadened my art skills and my awareness of how to formulate things through graphics, through figure drawing, through clay, through 3D, through puppetry. And I used to teach those things as a young kid. And it wouldn't have been possible without the recommendation of a number runner. So that's the power of the community, is that it doesn't have to be someone of importance, even though number runners back then were important. But with a person's interest in building another person who needs direction, or who needs guidance, or who needs
Right.
referral. So I'll never
Right.
forget that, because that was really the start of my maturity, so to speak, as a young teenager, 16, 17.
Right.
And I always took that with me. If you have information that can empower someone who needs it, who can use it, why not refer them? It can just be as simple as giving a number that can change the whole gamut of a young person's life.
Absolutely. And this goes back to saying this is the reason why your graphic design. Oh, by the way, he's also a graphic designer. And so he does all my graphics, all my flyers, and he does an amazing job. And I can recommend him hands down because he is really great at what he does. But the love of graphic, I mean, there is a buildup to now, and this is why this is for you. This is like drinking water. You can do this with your eyes closed.
Yes.
And your flyers and the flyers of a lot of other people, I mean, you can separate yours from everybody knows a Mark Alston's flyer. I know. I've learned to recognize them, and I know the difference. It's always very sleek and flawless. I love that about the work that you do. Tell us a little bit about that graphic design side of you, because you're a genius. It shows in your work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the art part came as a teenager through the Children's Art Carnival that I just mentioned, from the referral of a number runner, right? I've learned 3D. I've learned figure drawing, and I was good at it. We learned how to create portfolios to be prepared for high school music and art, where you have to present those things.
Right.
I was well taught, by a sister by the name of Betty Jones, I believe, and Sully. They were the catalyst of the Children's Art Carnival as far as teaching young people the basics of art from every category. But I never pursued figure drawing, even though I was good at it. I thought I would be on 125th Street, drawing figures of people on the street.
You could have.
I stopped. But when I worked for the state with New York State Division for Youth, I started doing invitations, for different events. And how I would do those things was I would pick out different, characters out of the yellow pages, and I would cut them out. And then I would paste it on a piece of paper, and then I would just type in the wording. And then I will put everything in a copier and come out with a flyer. As amateuristic as it sounds, it was a good look. And I just kept going on and on with it. And then when I transferred to the Valley, which is a not-for-profit youth organization, great place. It has changed the lives of thousands of people. So when you talk about mentorship, you're also talking about John Best. I cannot forget that name due to the fact that his vision was to not only empower young people of color, but to bring out their genius, to bring out their strength under diversity. I used to call it boot camp for everywhere else that I would work. And that still holds true to this day. But he saw the gift in me, and he set me up with a studio downstairs in the basement. I didn't start off that way. And I worked down there doing graphics, and I was working along another young man, and I'm sure Harlem knows him very well, a brother by the name of D. Ferg. D. Ferg was a beautiful young man who was great at art, great at t-shirts, great at marketing, great at promotion, and great at community. He did a lot. And he and I would be down there, he's doing his t-shirt designs in his, silk screen department on one side, and my studio was on the other side doing graphics. It was a beautiful experience, and I've learned so much from that. And we stayed to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He would have certain artists come down there from the rap game way back in the day. I'd be amazed at how many people he knew. And we just grind. And I've learned it a lot from the Valley, yes.
Well, I have to tell you, so much has happened over the past, 2020 has been a year to remember forever and ever and ever in so many ways. There is so much happening in terms of racism. You being the father of 2 Black men and you being a Black man in America, I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you about what you're feeling. What are you feeling with all that is happening today with our communities and racism and inequalities? How do you feel about that? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, like most young Black men, there is a threat against color. It's not against humanity because we're all human. It's not against man because we are man. It's not against women because you're a woman. It's against color. And the falseness of that hatred from a sight of a person who looks different from you due to pigmentation has to come to an end. And this is years of just foulness that is pointed towards people of color. So we've sort of had enough seeing videos that is self-explanatory, 100% factual information. We still have to go through a false judicial process to get justice. I think that we have had enough when it comes to the violence unnecessarily. But we also have to come together as a people. We also have to come together as men of color. We have to come together as women of color. We have to come together as people of color in order to make this, so to speak, last straw be the last straw. Because I'm gonna tell you, the powers that be are counting on us going back to norm. They're counting on us being upset. They know it's going to take time for that to flourish and for, hopefully, in their view, to settle down and to go back to norm. This can't be that time anymore. If anything else, I think it's time for us to unite and to support each other and to grow and to be unified, as people of color, Black man and Black woman, Black boy and Black girl. We need to be equal in everyone's eyes. And I think that America somehow is buying into it, but we need to buy into it ourselves through our action. And when I say through our action, I mean through our action long term.
I agree with everything that you said, but I'm still very disturbed because I don't know if you've been watching the news, and what I'm seeing is Black on Black crime. That is just over the past couple of weeks, so many Black on Black crime. I mean, what is going on with our people? We're fighting for us to be better, but then we're killing each other. How are we going to make a change in order to grow? If we as a people want to grow as a unit, we cannot continue killing each other. What is your thought on that?
Well, you're absolutely right. It takes me back to the community, to where I grew up at. Violence was amongst us in our community for a long time, but it never got to this level to where we kill one another. Back in the day, we would go to the schoolyard and we will settle our differences there. And years down the line, we become best friends. And years down the line from that, our children are playing with your children. We are supporting each other. We have a love for each other, even though we had differences back then. I think we have to set a tone of activity. And what I mean by that, activity after school. Every school, in my opinion, should be open with an after-school program. It should be to nourish and help young people grow instead of being latchkey kids, which is the playground to negativity for most, because you are the company you keep. So if I'm around a lot of people who don't have guidance, more than likely I will follow that suit. Not everyone falls in that same category, but we as a community has to be more vested into our young people. And we have to provide programs for them to spend time in, to nourish their genius. If there's a ballet young lady who is good at it, we should have a program for it. If it's an artist, a young man who draws very well, there should be a program for that. If there's someone who speaks intellectually and have a great academical IQ, there should be a program to nourish that. There should be, networking to where it extends to the next level. And that way they don't have time to do the things that are destructive.
Well, there's always going to be a bad apple that is going to do, everything in its power to really make sure all the other apples on the tree fall off and the ones on the floor are just damaged and done. What are your fears? Is there anything that you're afraid of? What are you afraid of? Is there something you're afraid of that you like to share that nobody knows that you're afraid of? What are you afraid of?
Well, fear on a personal, not much. Fear of us not growing, yes. A fear for us not waking up, yes. To me, this is the time to demonstrate who we are. If nothing else, it's going to galvanize the strength of Black people, people of color, knowing what's against us and what has always been against us through the beginning of slavery. I fear that this is where we will remain in the longer term. So my fear is that we cannot stay where we are. We have to grow. We have to network.
My fear is losing myself and not recognizing it. Think about that. That's my fear. Losing myself and not recognizing it. Think about how powerful that is. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you're strong in the mind and you're strong at heart, it's hard to lose yourself because you're too busy doing God's work. You're too busy, doing the work to empower people because that's what it's supposed to be. When we leave this earth and we're 6 feet under, the question is not going to be what did that person have before they died. It's going to be what have you done.
The middle dashes, that little dash that tells the story.
Yes.
All the in between, that's the story of your life.
That's the story.
What did you do with that middle dash while you were here?
Well, what you do with it, you exercise it. The middle dash is now. What are we doing now, right? To make a difference in someone's life? What are we doing now to connect with others, to network? And I use network a lot because to me, that's the key of Black growth,
Absolutely. And coming back to that, I would be remiss because it's important for me to speak about this. Your love of community you're a thinking man, and your love of community and the love to see your people move forward and move upward and do all the things that really are important for us to grow prompted you to create a platform that when you and I spoke about this 2 years ago, I thought, oh my God, if we can come together as a people, this would be just amazing. We would be unstoppable. Tell me about the platform that was your baby. Tell us about that.
Well, as you know, I have a lot of babies, right? So it can be anywhere from, as you know, our over 40, 50 parties to our jazz, to our spoken word, to our karaoke. But I wanted to do something that was community-based.
Right.
And through that came Buy Black Networking. So Buy Black Networking is to connect the dots of people of color who are entrepreneurs. As you know, we live in the village of Harlem. Harlem has so many diverse geniuses in the
and
art.
Talented people.
Talent. Go-getters, grinders, you name it, they do it. But what I also find out is that we don't know each other. Now, the same dynamic people can know each other for a whole 10 years just by being neighbors, walking by each other all the time. How are you? How are you? How are you? How are the kids? Fine. But no one knows what each other does.
Exactly.
And until you actually engage into what a person does, the chances are you'll be amazed about what you don't know about that person. That person more than likely is an author. That person more than likely has a home-based business, or that person may be involved in community activity, something that we can connect the dots and make referrals and make it grow and help to sell and help to buy. So that's the power of Buy Black Networking. What I've come encountered with is a lot of powerful Black people, especially in the village of Harlem, And together we have grown a great forum. We do monthly events, which is our presentations. We started out with the very fabulous Ruby Thomas, wonderful young.
Shout out to Ruby.
Shout
Shout
out
out to Ruby. To Ruby, a
such
dynamic
a
singer.
dynamic, yes, a dynamic young lady, and she started it off for us. And I'm so grateful to her for her professionalism, and also with you and DJ Mario, who basically did the video, which made it all come true, because you take it home and you do your editing, and then we get, we bring out the presentation and the product. It grew from there. So now we were at Nabi back then 2 years ago, as you know, and now we're at Exclusive, which is a brownstone on 122nd Street with more space, beautiful backyard, art gallery. It gives me more freedom to do more with the vision that we have regarding networking for people of color.
I like the platform from the beginning. One of the things that I love about that is the interaction with the vendors. We gave them a voice. The vendors had a voice, and they were able to really kind of put forth the product that they were promoting, but in a way that, it was their baby. So just speaking to them about what they love and what this meant to them, this is really something. And I am just so glad that you brought back an idea from the 90s to bring it forth now more than ever, because with all that's happening with our communities, we need to really have a base where we can come together as one, as people of Black and brown people together and build. There is no reason why we can't do that. There's too much brilliance among us that we need to really put our heads together in our minds and really build. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, again, from the beginning, Buy Black Network, New York, that was just amazing. And that was the baby that started it all, but started it all in a way that was just really tastefully done and really promoted our fellow brothers and sisters. I enjoyed every bit of it, every single bit. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with it. What are your plans? What's your vision?
Well, during this time of, civil unrest.
Civil unrest. Yeah.
I think people have woken up to really focus on promoting, supporting, buying Black, elevating the vision. People have been doing that from the beginning. We couldn't have an underground railroad without a network.
Absolutely not.
Back in the day, in the 20s, during the Depression, there was a network through people of color to make $1 out of 15 cents through scraps, which was not handed to you. Somehow they found a way, and they found a way to connect as well through different small businesses, through people cooking for others, and building that base. With Buy Black Networking New York, we were able to accomplish that. Now, people have been networking for a long time. There are a lot of great Black networking organizations that do great community work. What I want to do is to bring that to light for the community. So what I mean by that? When I talk about we have 150 non-for-profit organizations in the 5 boroughs, and that was back into the 90s when I worked for the state, I'm sure we have more non-for-profit organizations now with more services that target the community for their needs. My issue is that we don't know where these non-for-profits are at. And the same thing applies for our Black businesses. We don't know where they are. Our at-home businesses, we don't know where they are. Our wonderful authors who are trying to get their book off the ground, great books published by great authors who live in our community. I want to connect the dots to everything. So by Black Networking, we're able to do that with the people who are part of our membership. So what we do, we provide a forum for them to do a presentation. And they do a 5-minute presentation that will probably be viewed and videotaped by yours truly, Claudette St. Rose from Believe in Yourself Video.
That's my other platform, everybody. Follow me. Please follow me on Facebook under Claudette St. Rose, or Believe in Yourself Video with Claudette St. Rose. And please sign up. Please sign up for my YouTube page. I'm trying to build that. Would love for you to sign up. It's called Believe in Yourself with Claudette St. Rose on YouTube. Would love to have you. Got to put my commercial in.
And I second that, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
So through the team of you, Ruby Thomas, Mario, we were able to provide a forum for young, middle-aged, older entrepreneurs to branch out, to promote, to market their business. And they did exceptionally well with that. Some were scared to do presentations, but through practice, we were able to get them to do that. And some were able to make connections through other people who are also entrepreneurs. Now they're going to different pop-up shops. They're being referred to different places to where they can make better product sales. We're talking about how to better market your material as promotion material, so that way people can see you better as a Black business. So one thing to be a Black business owner is another thing to have great Black business marketing material. So you have to be as good as you are. So those are some of the things that we teach as well. I think that it's growing very well in New York, but Baltimore.
Tell us about that.
Baltimore, right? A young lady by the name of Tara. She lives.
Hey, Tara.
Yes.
Hey, sis.
Tara was so interested in our Buy Black network in New York. She and her husband drove from Baltimore to New York just to find out the concept. And I remember that day very well. And she wanted to take that concept to Baltimore, which we did. So we started our Buy Black network in Baltimore a year ago. And we happened to come up with around about 250 members, didn't move from there. But through this uproar, within the past couple of weeks, and all the things that we've been going through, the protests and just the anger and the awakening of people of color, there's been a great interest to join Something Black. And what better way to join Something Black than to join Buy Black Network in Baltimore?
Absolutely.
Buy Black Network in Baltimore grew from 250 members 6 weeks ago to now 56,000.
Wow.
And when I say 56,000, I'm not being facetious. 56 active members in Baltimore. And what makes the Buy Black Network in Baltimore such a fantastic place to promote, market, sell, buy product from people of color is that all members are engaged. They are active. So, in most rooms, you leave, your business card or your flyer there and hope someone will read it and call you. Most rooms do that. The difference between Buy Black Network in Baltimore is that they are very engaged. You come into Buy Black Network in Baltimore, you can ask from anything from A to Z. And there's going to be someone in there giving you a recommendation to your inquiry with a flyer, a link, or their own personal text as to why they think you should choose this business, why you should choose that business. Everyone almost in Baltimore, small business-wise, is doing very well.
So what are the requirements? What's required to become a part of any one of these platforms? Tell us about that.
Well, the requirement is just to support Black business. The requirement, if you are a small business person, entrepreneur, you have a storefront, we do encourage people to give us detailed information about the business, number one. I do recommend that they put in pictures to show as a testament to the product they sell. I also try to encourage them to take videos. That way, that's a better way to open the world up into your life, your business, your hustle, showing your products and doing an actual presentation, and then posting it on Buy Black Network in Baltimore, as well as Buy Black Network in New York, and Buy Black Networking worldwide, which we reach entrepreneurs all around the world. But Buy Black Network in Baltimore has taken on a different tone. Their tone is just 100% go. And what I mean by that, they are 100% brought into the concept of networking. They are brought in 100% in the concept of helping each other, looking out for each other, referring each other. So in addition to the business aspect of Buy Black Networking, we also have the community component, which is important to me. because we need to have people aware of those community-based organizations that I was talking to you about. We are not networking, all right? Not-for-profits are not networking in their own community to let the people know that there are services that can help them. There's services that can get a person off of a latchkey, type of life. They can now be engaged in things that empower them, that nurtures them, that helps them grow while mommy or daddy is at work. Back in the day, as you know, most of us were latchkey. So we had to make our own, entertainment. We had to do our own homework. But also we did have, after school programs as well. To me, that's the key, because the majority of our people of color comes from single family homes. And moms is struggling trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And if you live in Harlem, you know it is not easy. If you live in the Bronx, it's not easy. If you live in anywhere in New York City, it is not easy to hold a roof over your head. Now you multiply that by being a single mother, a Black mother, and then you multiply that by having multiple children that you love and you have to take care of, and you have to guide, and you have to trust that they'll be okay during this time, right? So there's a lot that, mothers go through, single parents. And I think through networking, we'll be able to connect the dots to where they are aware that there is help around the corner, opposed to help being around the corner and no one's aware. So I make a plea to all non-for-profit organizations throughout the 5 boroughs, throughout this country. You need to be seen. You need to be heard. You need to knock on every door and pass out a flyer with the services that you provide that can help the community to which you serve. That way you will have better intake. Our young people can be better served in a safe haven of growth. Those are things that we are also trying to connect as well.
I like that. I like the concept. I like what you're doing with the directory also, where you separated it based on services, which I find fantastic. If you're looking for a certain type of business, you don't have to go through the entire directory, because this is already separated for you, and you would go directly to that section and find what you're looking for, and they're people are recommending other people, and you get a lot of insight into the type of business that you're looking for. The amount, there's so many, and I just think it's awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you are separating it, in groupings, but based on services, and how amazing I think that is, and easy to follow and to find what you're looking for.
Well, we're still a work in progress. So remember, we were sleeping 2.5 months ago with 250 members. So we really didn't have a directory then. But with the overflux of interest of people of color wanting to be a part of something positive through networking, we decided to start a directory, which is the beginning process. So we have a directory of every type and Buy Black network in Baltimore, and we will be asking members to donate in order to be in that directory. We have not started it off officially. We do have some businesses in there so people can know every category of who is there, but it will be filled up tremendously through the next couple of weeks as we start that directory intake. Is a great idea because, like you said, you don't want to scroll down an hour and a half just to find the plumber, to find the electrician, to find the person who does nails or whatever. So through the popular topics directory, you'll be able to go in, pick your topic, and you'll be able to find lots of businesses within that category within itself.
So I encourage you to become a member of one of the Buy Black Network's platforms. I just think this is our opportunity as people of color, as Black and brown people, to have something that is our own. Let's stop all this killing and this fighting. Black on Black crime is just not necessary. Let's build. We have enough resources to do that. There's so many of us that are really smart and are about our business, and there is no reason why we cannot succeed as a people. So let's do that.
I agree. And I also encourage people who know, who have information that can empower a person of color. I encourage you to go on Buy Black Networking and post that. You know, we're looking for job leads. Through this time and day of age where we are now, jobs is going to be needed. You know, so we don't have to also look through Amazon and monster.com. We should have our own internal network of actual job leads just by our knowledge. And those are things that we encourage as well. If you know of a not-for-profit, that is a free not-for-profit in the city. If your child went there and it's a great service, why not share that information so other young people can take advantage of what you know? If you have a program that you're aware of that helps our young fathers become young fathers, and I'll give you one. It's called Strive, and I encourage everyone to call them up. They're on 123rd Street, right off of 3rd Avenue. Excellent program. They not only deal with young men, they deal with young women in their growth through GED, they have a great fathers program. They provide services such as CDL licenses, things to elevate you and to help you grow. These are the non-for-profit organizations that I'm going to work hard to accumulate and have a directory just for that as well. Not just the business part of Buy Black Networking, but the community part of Buy Black Networking. So we're not just talking about, you know, small businesses, and we're not just talking about the non-for-profits. We're also talking about political awareness.
Exactly.
So through Buy Black Networking, we want to make people politically aware of who is your leader in your community, who are your assemblymen, who are your councilmen. When is the day and time of the community-based meetings, right? The community-based board meetings. Those are the meetings we need to be into. So when you're talking about the village of Harlem and also Brooklyn as going through regentrification, we're talking about an unawareness of the community that should have been there helping to either approve policies to better the community or have other people approve policies to not better your community because it won't be for you. So these are the things that we're going through now due to lack of awareness, due to lack of participation, and to lack of networking.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Black Lives Matter mural that is, I'm not sure if it's finished. Is it finished in Harlem already or not yet?
They're still putting some details in it, but I was there at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's amazing. And, you know, it's such a feel good, you know, it makes you feel good, you know, warm and fuzzy when you see that. And I don't know about anybody else, but to me, that is, it just makes you feel, yes, we all matter. Black Lives Matter. But it gives you that, you know, that recognition that, you know, fighting for something that is just and fighting for something that is real and fighting for something that is meaningful. More so, let's stop all that killing amongst ourselves and let's continue to build on the shoulders of those who came before us, who fought for us. They would be turning in their graves, just looking at all this, you know, all these crimes. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Why? What's behind it?
Well, we have to blame self, and I don't mean to be that direct. Everything that's happened to people of color from this modern age, to me, is self-inflicted. And what do I mean by that? I mean, through the lack of our unity, through the lack of our networking, through the lack of our community involvement to our young people who are not our own. Like I said, a number runner changed my life through a referral. He didn't have to. There are many heroes and heroines out there who are sharing information to people because they know it'll do some good. All right, it is our fault that we have the leadership that we have. It's our fault that we have our neighborhoods taken from us because of lack of unity, because of lack of networking, because of lack of protection of the village. So we have to get ourselves together to nourish our own and to make sure that our own is good and to make sure that our own is doing what they need to do to be the genius that they are.
Finish this sentence for me. I would like to see my people doing, or I would like to see my people.
That's a good start. I would like to see my people wake up. And that includes me, right? That includes me. You know, when we look at the last election, I can't stop thinking about it because it was a shock to us all. It was a shock to us all because it should have never happened. But it happened to our non-action. It happened because of our assumption that what was supposed to be was supposed to be, but it wasn't. We need to wake up from our individual growth, our individual triumphs, our individual greatness, and combine that into community greatness, community growth, growth of young people through our referrals, through our genius, through the people who have helped us, you know, to be, to refer, to go, to do. Our young people belong to us. Our people belong to us. Our village belongs to us. But us will never be, it will never be the key word when our minds are singular. Singular in our growth, singular in our struggle, in our triumphs. We will die singularly with no word of what did you do? What did you do? What difference did you make? Who did you touch? Who did you help grow?
What did you do with that dash? What did you do with the dash?
What did you do with the dash?
Tell people how they can find you, Mark, and how they can become a part of this amazing platform to help our people continue to build and for us to really do what we need to do as a community, as a people, how they can become a part of it. Tell them how they can find you and what they need to do.
Many ways, especially now. You can always like me at Mark Alston, MarkAlston on Facebook. You can also like me on Instagram, Alston ENT. If you want to be a part of our Buy Black networking group, there are many ways to do that. We have Buy Black Networking Worldwide, where you can join as a member and be involved with people of color all around the world, networking, marketing, doing business. We just started to revise our Buy Black Network in New York, because what I want to do, I want New York to emulate the power of Baltimore. Baltimore is just taking on a new animal by itself. And through that, I want to take that vision and that growth and spread it to other cities. So New York is definitely going to be revised.
Any parting words before you leave?
Well, yes. I want to thank you, Claudette. Ever since we met, I saw, originality in you.
Thank you.
And what I mean by that is that, it's not hard to see a good heart and the good intentions of people when they talk to you and what they say they mean. And you have always been that, and it's always been my pleasure to work with you through these years and all the things that you've been doing. You supported me in what I do. Only thing that I have to say is that, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to work with anyone who's willing to do the same and network and grow. And, it'd be my pleasure, to be that, for you as well as you being it for me.
Thank you, Mark. It was an amazing pleasure to have you on the second filming of Heart and Soul. There is so much that I have to thank you for. I thank you for putting me out there, for putting my flyers, for doing everything that is in your power to help me. I appreciate you. For those who are watching, if you love what you see, if you love what I'm doing, if there is anything that you would like to see on this show that you would like me to discuss, comment. I'm happy to bring, if you have a suggestion and you would like to see somebody to discuss a certain topics on the show, I'm happy to bring that to you. And I just want to say thank you to all those amazing people. Delphine, I love you like cook food. That's my girl.
Wonderful.
I want to say thank you to Delphine, because she has been very helpful to me. And to be honest with you, I don't know what I would do without her. I appreciate you from the very bottom of my heart. I would be remiss if I don't mention my kids, because you guys know already, Maya and Gabriel, these are my babies. I love you guys with everything that I am. for all those people who continuously support me and see the good in me and see my heart, because there is no ulterior motive, you know, with me or what I do. I do what I do for the love of community, for the love of my people, because my intention and my objective is to see my people win. And I just want to ask you and encourage you to become a part of my platforms. There's so many, not really. You can become a part of my page on Facebook, Believe in Yourself Video with Claudette St. Rose. That's another platform. And that's for when things are better. Things are not the way they are, they're supposed to be. So there's none of that connection with people right now. But you can also become a part of that, because there are things that I do that I'm going to be doing with heart and soul that I will be posting up there. So I would like you to do that. You can also become a part of Claudette St. Rose on Facebook as well. And please, 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 please join me on YouTube. This is a new platform that I started, and I'm trying to make it grow. And I would love to have you on there. And I am just going to say this, and just to end, remember to find the joy and gratitude where it exists. And with those words, I just want to say thank you, and we'll see you in a couple weeks with another special guest. Mark, I love you with everything that I am, and I appreciate you, and thank you. Until next time, everybody, love everybody. Remember, love people, love, you know, with your heart, and not with the, you know, with a motive. It's not about motives, it's about being real. Love you, love you, love you, Mark. I thank you, and I love you. And everybody, until next time, heart and soul with Claudette.
Wow.
Mwah. Love you, Mark.
Love you, Claudette.
Ciao, everybody. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, though.